about 20, 25 minutes. Is that good for you?
Yeah, 20, 25. We're good.
Okay, as long as I don't want to inconvenience you at all, Lance. I know you said stuff to do, so I appreciate this time. And so, but I'd like to welcome your viewers and everyone, and say my spiel about everything. So
it's not an inconvenience, but we're live now. So
we're live now.
Yeah, we're live now. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're good. No.
Okay.
All right. So everybody, I'm gonna let Rodger talk here in just a bit, but I just want to tell you what you're looking at right here. This is Rodger Deering, somebody that I crossed paths with, I think, at Origin Game Fair 2 years ago, maybe 3. I can't remember. With all the, yesterday, I told my wife, because I was like, hey, don't you have your Warcraft group tonight? It's like, it's Thursday night, it's not Friday. I was like, oh, I totally thought it was Friday. I don't know about you, Rodger, but the passage of days has been very difficult to really correspond in my head. So, but anyway, so Origins maybe 2-3 years ago, I met this gentleman. He had a very passionate spiel of a game project. Was like all in on, and one of the things I love about going to conventions, lots of people, tons of interesting people that just play games, people that are media creators like myself, people that are publishers, and people like Rodger, are very passionate about their gaming and passionate about their projects. And this is the game that he has. I believe this is like his first pre-production copy. This is what his game is going to look like. And it's been a long, long journey for him to get from that original idea, that original spark plug that he had. And I remember he would send me emails like, hey, this is the giant idea I have. And it would be, I'm sorry, my introduction's a little long here, but I'm going to let you talk. But I mean, sometimes when people send me a blurb about their game, they're like, oh, hey, this is my game. It's 5 people. It's based in this theme, that theme. And then what do you think? Rodger triple downs on that. It's a 10 paragraph story about everything the game has. It's 27 images. It's his idea of where the game is going. And I was just, his enthusiasm was infectious. So that's where we're at. And now this is Dungeon Crusade. I look at it and I immediately think Hero Quest, and I think there's a reason for that. But I'm going to let Rodger talk. I want him to tell us a little bit about Dungeon Crusade, how he went about the process of having the idea for it, and how he went through the process of being published, and when people can expect to possibly get a copy. So, Rodger, you may talk. You may speak. Go.
Thank you. I want to first say a few things. The audio is a little bit cutting out at the end, but I got everything. And I just truly, from the heart, I want to say thank you to you, Lance. And, I said before, I hope you guys are doing good. And then in this new world with COVID-19, I hope you're staying safe. And all your viewers, all you guys watching right now, and maybe you'll watch it later. I think this will be on your channel later, right, as archive or something, right? So, yeah, so anyone watching this, thank you, truly. Thank you for your time and your interest. It's a very exciting time right now because this game is finally done. And I am a very passionate creator, and I grew up ever since I can remember playing these kind of games. And real quick, just so you know, when you're done, and hopefully I can give Lance some links for you, go over to the company's YouTube channel, Groovis Games Unlimited, and please take a look at the Spotlight video series. And it just gives you a really good overview of the game. I take the time to explain everything for you. So if you're thinking of pledging, you can make a very well-informed and comfortable decision. And that's what we want. I've never pushed pledging on people, and we'll never do that with Groovis Games Unlimited. Ask me questions. See if it's for you. And even if you don't pledge, if we gained a friendship out of it, that's all good. And maybe you'll look at some other games that we're working on down the road. So, sorry. And Lance has my shut up button because I talk a lot. So he can press it anytime. So really, thank you for your time with all this. And I'm trying to think, really where to start with all this. I guess I'll just start with this, and I'll try to be quick. But, I'm a normal guy, but I feel I was born with a lot of creativity and imagination and some ingenuity. And I've just always done things through my life. I'm a guitarist too, and I I write music and record. But guitar playing and music and fantasy adventure dungeon crawl games is just in my blood. I absolutely love it. And I wanted to do something different for people. I wanted to share something and give something to people that was really innovative, very thematic, like thematic storytelling, and just do something that was kind of classic with what I grew up on, and some other things that I'm going to tell you about. But ultimately, and I've said this and I was very open, that it was about doing something for people, well, now all around the world, and giving them something. That's to me, if you're a passionate creator, that's the real reward. You know, that's something that lasts. And that's why I was so passionate about this. I love it. And just meeting all these incredible people along the way, it was a real blessing. And before I get going, I just want to say to everyone in Kickstarter and people pledging, thank you. I'm eternally grateful for this from the heart. And this was an incredible opportunity. And that's one of the reasons I never took one day off for this. I worked a regular job. I'm an average Joe. I worked for 23 years. I work with children and adults stricken with different degrees of developmental disabilities. And at night and part of my day was this. I went on about 3 or 4 hours sleep. And I still do, because I'm working with the manufacturer. Anyway, how did all this start? And I'm trying to be quick. I got into games, Warhammer Quest, Dark Tower, if you remember that. I'm sure you remember that, Lance, those games. Oh. What were the other ones? Hero Quest, definitely. But all those like classic board games, to this day, I love them. But then on the other side of it, and more kind of like this, what I'm about to tell you is probably more influence. I absolutely love those, I call them from the golden age era of PC RPGs. Baldur's Gate, the Ultima series, you know, Ultima 5, Warriors of Destiny, Might and Magic, Eye of the Beholder, the Diablo games, definitely. I'm a huge Diablo junkie. But all those games from back then, that's what really inspired me with all those classic board games and these, you know, PC RPGs from back then, all of those games. Then with my own creativity, imagination, and ingenuity, I wanted to create something that was innovative for people and just different. And before I forget, this game is girthy, as I call it. It is. But I want to assure people of something, that this is one, I developed it with very easy game mechanics. You know, there's so many things, but they're so complex. And when you see it, how it all works, it all just kind of clicks and it's easy to retain. And, you know, it was about streamlining this game and making it not too fiddly, but, you know, heavy on strategy, tactics, and planning. That's really the meat of this game. So I think some people look at Dungeon Crusade, no, here you go, here's a look at the box. And I can tell you about this image. Can you get a good, is that pretty good, Lance? Can you see that?
Yeah, great.
But this image has been in my head since I was a teen, and I worked with Freddie Lopez, the amazing Freddie Lopez, and we worked together and we painted that. But you know, this is what has been in my head: a true Dungeon Crusade. Heroes breaking in the dead of night. You can see like there's the moon in back, and just clearing out this dungeon. So anyway, I hope I'm doing okay, Lance, and try not.
You're doing great. Just go. I love this. Talk.
Okay, so it was a lot of work to do this, but it was just, you know, doing something that was different for people. But what I was saying was, it was designed with easy game mechanics. So while some people look at it, you know, when we explain it to people, roll some dice, you know, you kind of get the ebb and flow. And real quickly, here's a turn in Dungeon Crusade. You have upkeep phase. That's where you're going to lay out these initiative tokens. And actually, I have some of the stuff right here, so hopefully we can get a chance. I'll show them to you. The official way is to play with 6 heroes. Let me grab you a hero card. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so you have initiative tokens 1 through 6. And what you do is, in upkeep phase, you look over the dungeon. You look over the dungeon and you plan out your strategy, your tactics of what you want to accomplish. And this, oh, and I should have said it at the start, this is to me, not being bold, but it's kind of the world's first open world dungeon crawl board game. There's nothing linear. And that's one thing I wanted to accomplish. One of the things that was paramount, give people the freedom where, you know, like I love games where you flip over the dungeon tiles, right? It's very linear. And I love those games, but I wanted to do this game where it's open. And so, you know, this is an open world dungeon crawl board game. You can go where you want and you can do what you want. You have player aid cards that list everything you can do on your turn. So anyway, that's upkeep phase. You lay down initiative tokens on each of the hero cards, and you decide what your plan is going to be, what your strategy, what your quests, what you have to accomplish. Next is encounter phase. I'm going to grab you a couple encounter cards. I love creating encounters. There's 4 kinds of encounters. Basically, encounter deck or the encounter phase, you draw an encounter card. There's 87 unique encounters, and there's challenges, events, environment changes, and interlude. Interlude is just kind of like a free card. It has some flavor text and an image. All encounter cards, I worked with Cameron Brown, have unique art. I thought it would have been lame just to have text there. I wanted to give the player, a little visual aid. But can you see that?
Anytime you have art, it increases the immersion factor, and especially if you're playing a game that is dungeon themed, you want to be able to picture the spots you're in your head. You want to experience it in your mind, right?
Right. And so can you make that out?
Yeah, that's like a little fountain there, it looks like.
Yeah. So like this one is an event, and oh no, the encounter deck is not bad. There's good stuff and there's some bad stuff. But like in this one, one of the heroes have found a fountain, and they can drink from it and regain health. So there's that kind, and then I don't want to give you too much. There's challenges, and I loved writing these. And in the huge expansion I'm working on, tons of challenges, but no spoilers. But one of the heroes has found a well. Can you see the well there?
Yes, very much.
And there's a chain. There's a chain coming out of the well. Well, you got to the hero has.
You muted yourself, Roger.
Did that disrupt
there you go. You're back. So that you said the chain comes out of the well. The hero has to pull the chain or decide if they want to pull the chain.
Yeah, well, challenges you always have to do. That's part of the thing. You get to select a hero though, who gets to do the challenge. And then in this one, they have to test their strength, tell you what happened to this chain, and if you fail, what will happen. So I'll leave that. If you have any questions, please ask.
Well, here, I have a question for you. So you say it's non-linear. So every time you sit down and set up the game, it's going to be a different session every single time you sit down?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm very glad you brought that up. The encounter deck, what I was just showing, to give you an example, Lee, we're going to talk, let me touch on that real quick. But before I do that, let me explain. I'll go quick. The upkeep phase, the encounter phase, you draw a card, right? Then you have the guardian phase. These are the guardians in the game. This is Vainvik. Can you see him? This is when the guardians could spawn into the dungeon. These are one of the quests. You have to kill the guardians. You have the guardian phase, and then the hero phase. There's one of our retro-inspired miniatures. So after the heroes go, you have a monster phase. That's a turn in Dungeon Crusade. Upkeep, encounter, guardian phase, hero phase, monster phase, back to the top of turn with upkeep. So that's the phases. Very simple, very cut and dry. But what you just said, taking the encounter deck, there's 86 or 87, I think 87 unique encounters in the game. You take the 10 interlude cards, okay? You always take the 10 interlude cards out, you shuffle the rest of the encounter cards, deal out 30. Take those 30, it's totally random, put them with the interlude cards, shuffle, you have every time you do an encounter deck, it's gonna change every single time. And what you just said was about replayability. That was probably one of the biggest things that was paramount. I love replayability. You could take, get the scenario book. Here's the scenario book here. You could take, and I think we're gonna talk about this. You could take one scenario, like here's the very first one. And you asked if this is the proof copy from the manufacturer. Final art, the only thing we did was we turned some of the brightness up, and so it's going to be a little more colorful and brighter. But this is, and I want to touch on this. Can you? I don't know. It kind of lag first, but can you see the scenario page?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to discuss this at the bottom in a second. And this was one of the things I wanted to achieve for people. 6 different difficulties, 3 different game modes. You could picture like a piece, like a PC RPG game or dungeon crawl game, 5 years, or the official way was 6 years. By tweaking all of these options. If you have the expansion pack, you can play Mega Dungeon Crusade, 8 heroes, 10 heroes, and 12 heroes. We're going to be designing scenarios and quests, and user-created quests and scenarios. We're releasing the blank scenario pages and the quest cards, so people can design. These are quest cards. People will be able to design their own quests and scenarios. When we get our website up, upload them, download stuff. That way you always have fresh content. And I give a tip of the hat to Neverwinter Nights for that. You know what, the modules you could create for that game. Real simple, quest card right here. Here's your story. You can write a story for what you want, the story you want to tell. On the back, you're going to have the objective. That's the clear talk of what you have to do. And then the setup, how you set the quest up in the dungeon. I'm doing a workshop video to teach people how to do this. There's some calculations you have to make, but I'll be doing a workshop video in the near future to teach you how to do that. But what I was saying was about the scenario. In all the scenarios, you'll never see the same game twice. The monsters will always change. Like the encounter deck, the treasure deck. Every game, there's 10 treasure chests in the dungeon. Let me get some of this stuff out for you. So every time you open up a treasure chest, you never know what you're going to get. And the treasure chests is risk and reward. So you could, no spoilers, but I'll show you a few things. You could find, can you see the treasure card?
Yes, sir.
You can find 2,000 gold, or there's artifacts in here, but then there's some bad stuff. So that's the thing. I wanted to make it with risk and reward. You never know what's going to happen. Oh, I was going to get one. Oh, here's one. And yes, I wrote some very cool flavor text. You could open up that chest and it can convert into an Eidolon chest.
Oh, I love it.
See that?
Yes. Move it a little bit. Move it a little bit. A little bit to your right. Move it a little bit to your right. To your right. There you go. Oh, I love it.
So there's plenty of these. Well, I'll just say this, there's a lot of good stuff, but there is some bad stuff, and maybe you'll just find an empty chest. But the treasure chest deck. So my point is, these will always change. You can find a ton of gold. Maybe you'll find some loot in the game, in there. So my point is, every time this game you play, you can take one scenario over and over and over again. You're never going to see the same game. I will assure you of that, because I love replayability. So, but the big thing was designing this scenario system. And before we leave this, there's 3 game modes. If you notice, see how there's like these dice on top? It goes from novice, easy, normal, hard, expert, master. You can just select one of the difficulties and play. Or you could just pick and choose. You go down here and you just pick and choose the kind of game that you want to play. Maybe you want to play with less heroes. So you're going to adjust that to give yourself an easier game. The crazy way to play is notice those D6 dice just randomly, it's basically randomly generating a dungeon for you. So this, to me, if you don't mind me saying, this was probably one of the biggest achievements for this game, is to give players all of these different options to experiment with and, you know, play around with and find a custom play style that they like. And actually, let me get a board and show you. I hope you're enjoying all this.
No, this is very informative. I appreciate it.
You can't see it on this board, but I'm going to show you. This is the there's 4 dungeons in the game. All dungeons measure 3 by 2 feet. And the big, and I've said this many times, and there's actually a demo of this on the company's YouTube channel. Ever since I was little and played, you know, all these games, I wanted like a living dungeon experience. And the demo I did on the company's YouTube channel just says what I'm going to say. I wanted the monsters. Here we go. Here's a Blackwood Prowler. Can you see that?
Move it to your right, up to your right, up a little bit. Okay, very cool.
Cool. So the thing was, I wanted to have a living dungeon experience where the monsters would move kind of by themselves. So they would have unpredictable movement patterns. So years ago, I'm going to show you the original. I worked with a company on making this special die, and it's called the Patrol Route die. And the system I devised for this is called the Patrol Route system. Actually, this is my original design. You see this, it's a D8, but do you see these skulls with the different colors?
Yep.
Okay, this is the manufactured one. And these are actually monster footprints. And we did this because of people with color blindness, so we could help them out in case, you know, they couldn't, you know, make out the color. So these are monster footprints. But what this does is, what those colors I just showed you, there's patrol routes throughout the dungeon. It's all networked together. And what happens is, on a monster's turn, it's real simple. There's spawn points and there's skull piles with all these colors and footprints going all throughout the dungeon. It's all networked together. You simply roll the patrol route die, and the monster, kind of think of this as their AI. The monsters will tell you where they're going to move. My point is, I didn't want anything to be in the player's head while you're playing. You don't want to know what that monster's doing. You don't want to know how they're going to attack. You don't want how they're going to move. So the patrol route die is kind of like their brain or their AI, and they tell you where they want to go to. So if in this, so when you're playing and you roll this on their turn, when they go to one of the spawn points or skull piles, you roll this. You'll never know where these monsters go. And it achieved what I wanted to do. And for people, give them a living dungeon experience where you don't think for the monsters. The monsters will do kind of all the thinking with this.
That's important because artificial intelligence in games like this is a very important factor of like the game playing you. And I like the fact that you put that random in there. One of the people that's watching live right now just said it was very nice of you to consider the color blindness. You know, just that the fact that there's a lot more people that can't differentiate colors than we really notice. Once in board game world, we really notice that a lot. So kudos to you.
And whoever this, please tell them thank you for commenting that. And you know, Lance, I think you know me well enough. People, I just talk from the heart. You know what I mean? Like when you met me, I'm the same guy I am there. You know, I can't come on here and be like, "Hi, Lance, this is Rodger Deering from Rufus Games Unlimited. Welcome to Dungeon Crusade. Everyone watching, you need to buy this game. This is the dungeon game that you've been waiting for." I ain't into all that baloney. This is me, it's the high top, you know? that to that person, it was about doing something for they want. And I'll tell you, there were some misguided souls who were like, oh, letting people run that campaign. And it's like, no, helping you make your game, they're helping you. It's a cooperation. So you better believe I was going to listen to them. And if you want something in the game, let's work on it. Let's build a game together instead of saying, here's the game, this is what you're going to get, go play it. That's at least our thing with Grewis Games Unlimited. Our backers are not, they're number one. That's, you know, and that's why I work so hard on it. And really touching on that. So anyway, thank you to whoever said that. And we'll always do stuff for our backers. I want to touch on something too that, again, people were like, why are you doing that? And hopefully now they see. I created a Hero packages. Can you see this hero card again? Like here's his level 1 card. Heroes can level up to level 3 in the game. But can you see Sir Brennis's hero card here?
Yes.
Okay, notice on the back. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, I created something called Create a Hero. And for the expansion we're working on, and really any game, these packages are free to our backers. We don't want your money for your creativity and imagination. But what happened is we have 12 heroes in the game. You know, like Knight, Barbarian, Wizard, you know, Rogue, all that. So I came up with the classes and I told our backers, here's the deal. You write the story for these characters. You name these characters. And your name will appear on the back of level 1 hero card for your contribution. And it's free. And believe me, they were gone. We put this expansion heroes up. Expansion heroes, you get the Paladin, Ranger, Warlock, Bard, Priestess, and the Battle Mage. We put those up at a random time. We let people know they were coming. They were gone in 5 seconds. No charge, totally free, because we wanted their creativity and imagination part of the Dungeon Crusade lore. And for God's sake, they're helping you make the game. I think we can do that for them. Some people are saying charge $200, $300. No, no. Why would you do that? Seriously, why? They're helping you make the game. Buying the game is enough. So it was a real pleasure and honor to work with all these people. When you get the game, you can read their story of what they wrote for that hero and where they hail from in Avalon. I hope I answered that good enough for you.
I think you answered that excellent.
This, even though it's, this is the Avalon Adventure board game, and this is the land I created. Can you kind of see this?
Yeah. It's upside down, but yeah.
It's upside down.
Oh yeah.
I was testing you. I was testing you. Okay, you passed. I'm gonna play it off like that. Okay, but can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. This is the Avalon Adventure board game. But anyway, the map of Avalon. So all those heroes, they, there's like 9 different villages. So the backers got to pick a village, write a story, from where they came from and why those heroes are rising up against this. So this is book 1, Genesis of Evil. Why the heroes are rising up and defending the land of Avalon. So backers really shape the lore and history of this game, which I think is important, especially on the Kickstarter platform. We'll always offer that to our backers. But while I have this out, and one of the things, this game was, and I'll be honest, I've said it, the game was, delayed. And I told people I refused to rush it. Plus, I told you I worked. So, I was doing double duty trying to, do the game. And that's one of the reasons why, it took so long. But this land right here, this Avalon Adventure board game, I love choose your own adventures. So what you do is you can start this. You pick your 6 heroes, and then I'm going to give you the short version, but there's a demo for this on the company's YouTube channel. Type in Avalon Adventure board game demo. I take my time. You're going to learn all about this game. I love choose your own adventures. Remember like hiding fantasy and all that? I love those things. This is, again, total replayability. There's 3 runes of eternity scattered every time you start this game. You play this before you play Dungeon Crusade. You start up here at Hope's Reach. The heroes have to journey through Avalon and have different battles, events, encounter situations. You'll go into the dungeons, you'll go into towns, towers, crypts, and you must locate the 3 runes of eternity to shatter the curse on the dungeon so you can defend the village and vanquish the monsters that are inside. But the thing is, and I'm going to show you, I was not going to just say, here's the land of Avalon and that's it. I took the time. Oh, by the way, that art you saw on that, I designed a rough map of Avalon, and then Damien, my Malady, took my map and then based it off that and painted the final land. And Damien was an artist on 2015's RPG of the Year, The Witcher 3. So he did a dungeon board for the game and many other things, but all of these artists were just a real pleasure to work with. From what I just showed you, and again, I think people see now why this game took a while to make, but from what I just told you, you know how you travel around Avalon? You know, the board? These are adventure cards. There's 259 different events I wrote just for that game. They're double-sided. This is one of the reasons why, you know, I took my rush this out, because if I'm going to stress and play with your friends or play solo, by the way, this was all, I designed this as a solo play. I'm a diehard soloist gamer, so this is all solo. And then you could play co-op. But I wasn't going to just make a land and say, here's Avalon. It wasn't about that. I created 259 different events. When you go deep into the Black Nether dungeon, when you go to the village of Salemport, you're going to meet NPCs and monsters and creatures and fellow heroes that will show up in Dungeon Crusade. So the Avalon Adventure board game ties into Dungeon Crusade. So let's say, you know, but I wanted to show you this, that this is all, the final cards are actually going to be bigger. I thought the fonts were a little too small, so you're getting the adventure card is going to be bigger. So my point is, every time you play this, you roll a die when you move into a different region of Avalon, you pull the adventure card and see what happens. So my point is, every time you play, you're going to see a different, you know, a different game. So it's a choose your own adventure, but you'll never see the same game twice. And then there's red little tracking tokens that come with the game, that you, after you've explored an area, you put a red token down, and then you have to get back to Hope's Reach once you find the Winds of Eternity. But this was my baby right here. I have to say that I lived in this land. I mean, Lance, I lived in this land, and I wanted to give people a really thematic experience, you know? So my point is, after you play this, if your heroes survive, you import them into Dungeon Crusade. So, and then, and I think I want to show, I'd like to move the camera, and then my point is, so after the Avalon Adventure board game, you don't have to play that. You can just play Dungeon Crusade. You have all these different events and battles and meeting NPCs, and then they show up in Dungeon Crusade in some of the quests, right? You go through all this dungeon killing monsters. At the end of it, you have a very fulfilling experience. You kind of think back of, wow, what happened in the Vile Tower? That was so cool. Remember we went into the village of Deadwood and we found out why the people were exiled from Ghost Isle? All these things were in there. So it was like, I guess to say like almost like a web of me creating all of this little stuff that links together into Dungeon Crusade. Hopefully I'm not talking too much, and hopefully I made sense.
No, I mean, I think this is like one of those things where you get to see underneath the hood, right? And see the creative mind at work and just the passion. I mean, so just to sum it up, obviously the game looks amazing. It obviously is a passion project. If somebody wanted to be able to get a hold of a copy, they wanted to, you know, when is it? Is it being manufactured right now? Is it in process?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So, and you know, I kind of want to show you something so you know. I'm scared to move the camera because you know what happened. But before I say that, I really want to show you how to obtain victory in this game. Do you think we could just move the camera and I can show you this and then we'll sum up everything?
Just don't trip or fall. Don't Inspector Clouseau it or anything.
No, it'll be good. Hopefully this will work. And plus it'll give you a chance to see some of this other stuff here. And I'm gonna be very careful. I might have to hold it. Okay. we hurried up and set all this stuff up, so please excuse the messiness. Put this back over here. Okay, Lance, can you see this board right here?
Yes, I can, Rod.
No, you can't. Okay, this is called the Dungeon UI board. And again, please forgive me for, you know, the messiness. This is the Dungeon UI board. This is the, see the village board?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the blacksmith shop. Dungeon Crusade also comes with 193 pieces of unique loot. Props to Sean Ellis and Kesrick Lassen. I gave them all my prototype design, and they made that. There's a spiritual warfare weapon. That's a legendary. Can you see Kingslayer? Can you see that?
That's awesome.
That's what you need, Lance. You're the undead Viking. You need the Kingslayer up in there. There's oh, the grips of the Shadow Realm. So I mean, I assure you that there's swords, bows, crossbows, staffs, daggers, scepters, maces, axes, chainmail. There's everything, because I love loot. Thank you, Diablo. Here's the village board. The heroes lose the game. Can you see this little track right here called the terror level? Can you see that there?
Yes.
Are you still there, Lance?
Yes, I am. I can see it.
Okay, terror level. The heroes lose the game if it ever gets to defeated. There's a skull there. And Damian Mamolity, he did the village board. I gave him my prototype sign. So I always like to call out the artists. So that's the terror level. If that ever gets to defeated, the heroes have lost. Going back to the scenario page, you can change this to whatever you want. So if you want an easy game, set it at 1. If a monster escapes the dungeon, they raid the village. Well, I won't get into raiding minions right now, but a raiding minion will raid the dungeon. You got to raise up the terror level. So you could have like a medium difficulty game, or you could put it on, you know, right there and have a really difficult game. It's about giving players options to do what they want and create the game they want. Bazaar here, this is where you buy your health potions, elixirs. The academy, your heroes can get their special abilities. Here's Enwyn Shadowleaf, and she has a special ability called Dual Shot. Blessing deck, your heroes can receive blessings. Sometimes your prayers aren't answered, but sometimes, I'm not going to give any spoilers. Here we go. On a thing called Celebration Day, your heroes can get blessings, and sometimes they can get an angel. Freddie Lopez painted this and all the monsters and heroes in the game. Can you see that Angel of Swiftness?
I can.
This will bless your hero, and so this, if your hero is blessed with this hero, you could add +2 to their base movement, and you can't trade a angel. It's, you know, it's with you until you discard it. So that's real simple. You pay 200 gold. Sometimes you'll get an angel. Sometimes it will be despair. You never know. Again, random. But this is what I wanted to show you, because I know I should have started with this. How do you beat Dungeon Crusade? See these right here? These are quest tables. Quest table 1, quest table 2, quest table 3. You're going to have 2 quest cards for each one. These are Elder Globes. There's a red side and a green side. Very simple. How do you beat Dungeon Crusade? Let's see the main quest here. When you beat the main quest, flip it over to the closed book. It's done. This is for level 1 quests. When you beat the side quest, flip it to the closed book. Remember we talked about the Guardians? Here's Razorfang. So during the game, depending on what you choose, you're going to have a quota of Guardians to kill, anywhere from 1 to 8. Again, choose what you want. You want an easier game? Have only 1 Guardian. You want a super hard game? Choose 8 Guardians. When you kill all the Guardians, close the book. You're done. Elder Globe is red. That signifies evil in the dungeon. When your quests are complete, flip it over to the green Elder Globe. There's purity in the dungeon, and the heroes go back to Celebration Day or go back to the village for Celebration Day. They can level up, buy new gear. House of Chance. We're not going to get into the House of Chance, but it's a gambling hall. I created 4 games for the House of Chance. Tower Attack comes standard. Master of the Realm, you will get the other 3 House of Chance games. Skulljack. It's like a simple form of black.
You muted yourself against. There you go.
Phone call. The Adventures of Bravely the Knight, and the Heroes versus Monsters. But anyway, my point is, so that's kind of a little bit about Celebration Day. Again, it's on the YouTube channel for Grubus Games Unlimited. You can learn about all this. So my point is, you're going to go through the quest tables. You know, you're going to go to the village. You're going to go back to the dungeon for level 2. Monsters are going to change. They're going to level up. You're going to see new monsters. They're going to get more fierce. When you clear those quests, Elder Globe turns green. You go back for one more Celebration Day. Then finally, level 3 quests. If you can beat those, you know, you flip over the tokens to the closed book, turn that Elder Globe to green. When you have 3 Elder Globes, you've beaten the scenario. And then you can try a tougher game mode.
All right.
Okay.
So getting back to, if somebody sees this, sees just the immensity of it and the awesomeness of it, how do they make sure they secure a copy of their own?
I'm adjusting the camera. As you know, we had like, okay, should I leave it there? Can you still see like the back of the chair?
It's perfect. Perfect.
Okay. I don't want it to move. Sorry about that. I had to show you guys that how to beat this game.
No, it's good that you showed it. I appreciate you doing that.
Real quick. Did you see that?
Yes, sir.
That's Skulljack. Up to 3 heroes can play. This is the game like Blackjack. Damien, my melody again. Heroes versus Monsters. Over here, there's 3 heroes. That's the Chapel of Light. Monsters are invading here. You put challenge cards here. 8 challenges. More monsters will come in. Basically, all these they're gambling games. If you're low on gold, and you sometimes will be, you're going to have to go into the House of Chance. Only one House of Chance game will show up at a time. You don't play all 4. That was a huge misconception for years. I want to say this again. Only one House of Chance game shows up on per Celebration Day. Or as they say in Helsinki, only one House of Chance game shows up per Celebration Day. Did you get that?
I got it. This feels like a but wait, there's more kind of moment here over and over again with
Well, you know what? Like I said, it was about giving people a really new experience to enjoy, something very fulfilling, something that will last them a long time. And that's what this was about. But here's the thing about it, and we're getting to that. Everything in this game had a purpose. You know how, I mean, I'm not going to say who, but there are some people who just put stuff in for the heck of it. I was passionate about everything you see. There were some things that didn't make the game. I was going to put it in. It was no fun. It didn't work. I'm very stubborn like that. So I'm not going to just create something just for the sake of, well, I'm just going to make this. If I wasn't passionate about it, if I didn't feel it, if I gamed for how many years and played every kind of game, if it's not fun for me, it's not going to be fun for someone else, and I'm not going to put my heart in it. Lastly, can you see the little retro game here? This is the Adventures of Bravely the Knight. This is a mini dungeon crawl game where you take Brave. Actually, I forgot his mini, but he has a mini here. You start here at the can you see that?
Yep.
You start here and you got to go through a death trap dungeon and he can gain gold. You can play these games as a standalone. And of course, they got the retro spinner. So there you go. That's the House of Chance game. And that comes standard in all editions. That is Tower Attack. Hope your folks can see that there. This comes in all. Okay, this comes.
Looks a lot like Dark Tower. I'm just gonna say.
There you go. That's why Damien, my melody, that was paying homage to one of my games. So you can see how much of my origins is in this game because I love all that old stuff. Okay,
somewhere there's a bunch of lawyers getting ready to call you.
I don't think that looks too much like that. No, but this is Tower Attack. It's a dice pushing game where you just go up and you have to clear out the skeleton army. You bet gold, roll some dice, and then you have to try to ascend the tower. The higher you get, the more gold you get.
All right, I gotta eat dinner. I gotta eat dinner. So I'm gonna ask you again. I want a copy of this. Where do I get it, Rodger?
I'm sorry for being so long-winded.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I love it. But, I can't wait to have a copy of this so I can do a real video for it of the copy in my hand. But anyway, how can I get a copy? right now.
Oh, you're gonna have to take a few days of this game. Okay, right now, as I said, I encourage people, go over to the Grievous Games Unlimited, watch the Spotlight series. I want you to make, a comfortable pledge and all that kind of stuff. So take a look at that. Make sure the game's for you. I think you'll enjoy it. It's very different though. Okay, I was been speaking to our project manager at the manufacturer. They are starting production this Monday. That's it. I mean, so the pledge there is a Dungeon Crusade pledge manager, and Lance, I'll send you a link for it. I'll send you it in a private message if you could put that for people. But here's the thing. I spoke to the support team manager at Pledge Manager. They're closing it down Sunday. We left it open Saturday, and then you could, people can go in. I'm not sure when they're going to shut it down on Sunday. It might be afternoon, but the Pledge Manager will be closing down. But tomorrow it will be open all day, but sometimes Sunday it might be whenever she decides to shut it down. She's forwarding us the totals. We give that to the manufacturer. They print and then the printing starts Monday, and we are done for that phase at least. And then of course fulfillment. And I know someone's gonna ask about fulfillment. Our shipping manager that we're talking to right now, it could be, as soon as we have a date from them, we're gonna pass it on. We could say mid-summer, late summer, early fall. But I think you know me well enough that I'm always gabbing away, so I'll be keeping people in the loop, because there's tons of people excited for this game. And I'm always out there giving people all the information that I can for them. So shipping mid to late summer, early fall, but we'll keep in contact with everyone, keep you in the loop for what's going on.
Sounds amazing, Roger. We'll have to, maybe we can figure out a way to do some sort of a playthrough or something, or like in the next in a few weeks or something like that. Something we could do online where we could show a little bit more of the gameplay and kind of show a walkthrough to put a spotlight on it. But I will definitely I will put that link there with the video, so people, when they check it out, they'll be able to go and they'll do a late pledge. Now, of course, it's going to go through normal retail channels, like after the fact, or are you going to sell the game on your website? I'm sure you'll have a few extras, right? So if somebody misses out on the pledge manager, they'll be able to buy it directly through you.
That's the thing, and we're just taking it step by step. I mean, for the last 2 months, this game really took off. I mean, it's just, tons of people found out about this game. So right now we're focusing on getting it printed and out to all of the backers who are just loyal, waiting for the game. We are ordering extra copies. We're going to see what we're going to do. We'll have extra copies of each edition of the game. I will probably say there's going to be more Crusader of the Realm editions with the Avalon Adventure board game. We'll have some base editions and then some Master of the Realm. But we're getting the website up, right? We have the domain, but it's pointed at the official Dungeon Crusade Facebook page. We're probably going to be selling them on there, but you can get a hold of me and we'll work it out. If you find out about the game late, or 3 months or 4 months now, and you want a copy, I'll make sure that you get a copy of what we have left. I don't know how fast they're going to go, but we will have a few hundred extra copies of everything for people. So that's what we're
here for $140. You can get a copy of the Dungeon Crusade base game, the Avalon Adventure game, the 3 House of Chance games, all the stretch goals. This is the definitive Dungeon Crusade experience. So
that's the Master of the Realm.
That's the route. That's the route we have to go, though. I mean, who wants to play half the game? You're gonna want everything. Right?
Well, here, let me say this, Lance, and that's why I created 3 editions. Maybe some people just want to play just Dungeon Crusade. That's $95, and you can see you get a ton of stuff for $95. And I'm a gamer. I know, I wanted to give people a bunch of stuff at a really good price, and I was passionate about it. And so you could just play Dungeon Crusade. However, if I had my way, I would only sell the Crusader of the Realm, because I would love for people to experience that Avalon Adventure board game. It just adds, if you're into thematic storytelling and rolling dice and going down to dungeons and secret rooms and all that kind of stuff, the Avalon Adventure board game really complements Dungeon Crusade. You play that and then of course Master of the Realm. Master of the Realm comes with those other 3 House of Chance games. the Avalon Adventure board game, and the base game. And then there's like a few add-ons. The Hero Pack. Also, you get 2 dungeons with even the base edition. This is the Ancient Runes. And then you get the Tomb of Kaladar with that also. Then there's the Dungeon Pack where you get Castle Blackwood and the Cavern of Lost Souls. And so you get those also. And that's what I was gonna, well, I won't bore you with all that. But so the Dungeon Pack, you get 2 extra dungeons. You get an additional, I wrote 60 unique quests for the game. You get 30 quests for that in the Dungeon Pack and quest tokens. And then there's the Heroes Expansion Pack. And then there's 2 difficulty monster decks. The game ships with normal difficulty monsters, and then there's expert monsters and heroic monsters. And you can mix all those monsters together. And you could, you could have a giant stack of monsters. So normal monsters ship with the game, and then you could get expert and heroic, and their names are going to be like different colors and their skulls to let you know if they're expert and heroic. But you can mix all of this stuff together, and so you don't know what you're facing. Then there's a variant where you can have them level up. When you kill a level 1 monster, you take out that normal, you replace it with an expert version. If you kill that monster, you put in the heroic, so monsters can level up. Again, it was giving people different options how to experience the game. Or you just mix all the monster decks together and you don't know what you're going to be fighting. So anyway, there's those 4 add-ons right there.
Well, it looks amazing, my friend. And I appreciate you taking the time to show it to us.
And I thank you, Lance. I'm sorry for being long-winded and jibby-jabbering. And I thank everyone right now watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you need anything, just reach out. I'll chat with you, see what's going on. But Pledge Manager will be closing whenever she's going to close it on Sunday. We're done. It could be in the afternoon, early afternoon, whenever she decides to do it. But all day Saturday, Saturday night, early Sunday morning, I'd say it will be open for you. So
go back in now. Go back in now, or you'll miss out. They should go back in now. Get the Pledge Manager going, so they can guarantee a copy.
Lance, I always tell people, take a look at it, make sure. I never push that on people. But thank you for saying that, though. But don't see my standpoint. I want to, watch the spotlight videos. Just watch a few, and you'll get the game. Actually, the introduction. If you watch the introduction, it's about 25 minutes. You're going to know everything if the game's for you. I go over everything. So right there, I think people decide, you're going to get a good feel of what the game is like, and you can decide it's for you. I will say it's very creative, innovative, and thematic experience, and I accomplished what I was out to do for people.
That's awesome. So, well, thank you, Rodger. I appreciate it very much.
It was really nice chatting with you, and everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.